I'm not going to give you a left or right-leaning perspective. I want to give you an independent perspective, and I want you to follow this in the news. And it's important because whoever gets the ticket is going to determine policy, and money's going to follow policy, which is going to set the agenda for the next 4 years in the government contracting community. We track politics and geopolitics to determine where the potential contracting actions may lie, so we can pivot our organizations appropriately. It does not matter what the talking heads say. What matters is what the DNC convention decides on the week of August 19th through 22nd. Whomever the DNC puts forward is going to be the Democratic nominee. Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Curtis A. Merriweather Jr. You can call me Dr. Kurt. The purpose of this channel is to educate entrepreneurs. We educate entrepreneurs through education, consultation, and training support services. Our goal here is to increase your profitability and to lower your learning curve. Now, this channel is based on almost 28 years in the space, government contracting specifically. We try to simplify advanced education. We want to provide lessons learned, insights, tips, tools, strategies to help you really level up your game in the space. Now, I have a great show for you guys today. But before I jump into that, I just want to give you a couple brief announcements. Please note my Instagram channel has changed. The Instagram handle on this channel has changed. And when I started the channel almost 2 years ago, the Instagram handle was different. So please take note that the channel handle has changed. Second thing, definitely go take a look at the 8-Figure Government Contracting Teaching Platform. If you want to learn more about the government contracting space, you're going to take a guided tour with me with some on-demand videos and ongoing mentorship support with me. You can go directly to our course store library to see the courses we offer. And last but not least, we're definitely doing a Launchpad Bootcamp, which will start next month, August 8th. We're going to do a 14-day guided tour with yours truly, all things government contracting. So if you're stuck, definitely tap in. Okay. Before we jump into our topic, I want you to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way, anytime I produce new content, you will be notified most promptly. Okay, now that we got all the preliminaries out the way, I wanted to do something different on this channel today. I normally talk about all things government contracting. And so today's topic is a little bit off the beaten path, but I think still very much relevant for the viewers and subscribers to this channel. And I want you to like, and definitely leave comments below this video. Okay, let's get into it. If you have been following the news, you have not been buried under a rock the last few weeks and days. You know what's going on, but I want to give you a little bit of a different perspective on the news media. I want to do something a little different on this channel. We talk about government contracting. I think the topic we're getting ready to talk about is just as important to the ongoing things that we normally talk about on this channel for a couple of reasons. We know that there is definitely going to be an administration change in November, take office in January, whether that's going to be someone on the Democratic ticket, whether that's going to be someone on the Republican ticket. There is definitely going to be an administrative change. Now, why is this important? This is important because it's going to set the tone and tenor and tempo of what we're going to look like in the next 4 years from a government contracting spending perspective. If you have been in any of my classes or on any of my webinars, if you had any kind of conversation with me, I always talk about the importance of the federal budget process. The federal budget process, you'll see a quick graphic on your screen right now. The federal budget process starts in February. Whoever takes office in January 2025, it's going to be working on the fiscal year 26 budget. Y'all know we work on fiscal years, not calendar years in the government space. So FY26, so fiscal year 26 will begin October 1st of 2025. And that is the budget that's going to be starting to be negotiated with the House, with Congress, starting February of next year. So shortly after the new president, whomever he or she may be, they're going to start having to think about what is the federal spend going to look like in FY26. Now, FY26 is going to start October 1st of 2025. Remember, the budget is actually negotiated in advance. That aside, if you want to know about that process, definitely tap into a class with me. But what I want to talk about is what's kind of led up to this point. We know we had the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump at his Butler, Pennsylvania Trump rally on July 13th. He had a near fatal death experience. And then we know on July 15th through 18th of 2024, there was the National Republican Convention that was held in Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We know that. So let's kind of fast forward. As of yesterday, this was the 21st, Sunday the 21st, Joe Biden released his resignation letter. And of course, I'm going to put the letter on the screen. You can read the resignation letter. He lists out what he believes to be his accomplishments for his presidential presidency. And he goes on to talk about how well and how much he enjoyed serving the country. Okay, I have Joe Biden's letter on the screen, and I'm going to read it briefly, just in case you haven't seen it yet. This was dated July 21st, 2024. It says, "My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we made great progress as a nation. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances, passed the first gun safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcome a once-in-a-century pandemic and worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We protected and preserved our democracy, and we revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision." It says, "For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Vice President Kamela Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. And let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today, what I always have, that there's nothing America can't do. When we do it together, we just have to remember we are the United States of America." Joseph R. Biden. That's the letter. So hopefully if you haven't read it, you've had an opportunity to read it alongside me. Now let's continue. So just kind of bringing you up to speed on what's happened thus far. Now we're gonna go somewhere here. We know that this decision is very important, who the next president is, especially from a government contracting perspective, because it's going to determine where the money allocations are spent. And so based on who's in office, the administration is going to set a new budget, and that's going to determine where the money is going to flow. So one of the things I like to do with my students, I like to talk about and track the budget, because we don't want to be reacting merely off sam.gov or FedBid or whatever your preferred platform may be. We want to have some type of insight into where the finances will be steering. We want to be very proactive and not reactive compared to what I see happening on most of the social media platforms. Most people react. We want to be proactive in our stance. So we track politics and geopolitics to determine where the potential contracting actions may lie, so we can pivot our organizations appropriately. But I digress. Let's keep moving. So we do know that the Biden-Harris ticket, and we know that Biden has announced his intentions not to pursue re-election for the 2024 election cycle. So from a fundraising perspective, the Biden-Harris ticket, when they entered into July, had 96 million after spending 243 million in June. Now, this is important because Kamala Harris, if she gets the nomination, I said if, and I'm going to dig into that a little further here shortly. If she gets the tap, she will have access to that war chest of donations that have already come in thus far. Now, secondly, Harris has raised 49.6 million, just shy of $50 million within hours after receiving Biden's endorsement on Sunday evening, July 21st. And then thirdly, this is not representative of the total amount of money that the Biden-Harris team has raised thus far. This is just tracking for a specific period of time. Now, let's keep going on. Kamala Harris, if she wants to be competitive, many are suggesting that she's going to pick up Josh Shapiro, who's the governor of Pennsylvania. We know that Pennsylvania is a swing state. That's a state that the Dems or Republicans need to desperately win. So in order to place herself in the most favorable position, she's going to look at someone in a swing state, someone like a Josh Shapiro. She may or may not pick him, but these are the things that must be considered. Let's keep moving forward. Now, we got the Democratic National Convention. You know, we talked about earlier, you've already had the RNC convention that happened last week after the assassination attempt. Now you got the DNC coming up, also known as the Democratic National Convention. That will take place beginning August 19th through 22nd. Now, why do I bring this up? Because you're going to hear a whole bunch of conjecture on Fox, CNN, MSNBC, RT News, OAN, wherever, Epoch Times, wherever you consume your data from, alternative news outlets, you're going to hear a whole bunch of conjecture between now and the convention. But I want you to make sure I hear this. So my government contracting community hear me. It does not matter what the talking heads say. What matters is what the DNC convention decides on the week of August 19th through 22nd. Whomever the DNC puts forward is going to be the Democratic nominee. Trump got the endorsement from the RNC of the Republican National Convention last week. It does not matter what your favorite talking head or news outlet says. What matters is who is voted on in August at the Republican National Convention. Now, why do I bring this up? There, right now, as it stands, as of the date of this recording, which is July 22nd, we're going into an open convention in the DNC. Now, I'm going to be very clear. I'm not going to be political in this at all. I'm just merely trying to give an unbiased, independent perspective of what's happening and why government contracting community members should care. So we're going into an open convention. We know there was a primary back in the spring for both the Republicans as well as for the Democrats. And so on the Republican ticket, Donald Trump was selected. And on the Democratic ticket, it was the Biden-Harris ticket. Now, since Joe Biden has decided to step down, there is no nominee going into the DNC. It would have been Biden. Now, Harris would be the next person in line. But it's not guaranteed she's going to get the nomination. So there's no predetermined nominee at the start of the convention. So delegates and super delegates at the DNC will be able to vote freely. I want you to follow me. We're going to potentially have an open convention. The Democratic Party right now is split in terms of who the official nominee will be. Y'all got to listen to me. Again, I'm not going to give you a left or right-leaning perspective. I want to give you an independent perspective, and I want you to follow this in the news. And it's important because whoever gets the ticket is going to determine policy, and money's going to follow policy, which is going to set the agenda for the next 4 years in the government contracting community. We've looked at President Biden's agenda in classes, if you've done any classes with me past, and then we're going to also look at the policy going into after the election cycle, but I digress. Let's keep moving. So you got some potential challengers on the Democratic side. The Republican ticket is set. Trump was confirmed the nominee last week. The Democratic ticket is still in flux. So who are these potential challengers? Now, again, this is at the date of this recording. This could change. It could move one way or another. But as of right now, Joe Manchin has been asked to consider rejoining the Democratic Party. Now you say, well, who is Joe Manchin? Joe Manchin is the senator from West Virginia. He switched to the independent ticket not long ago. He's been asked to reconsider switching back and serving as a nominee for the convention. Who else is in consideration? Hillary Clinton. I know Hillary Clinton just gave her endorsement. Again, politics is tricky. Hillary Clinton's name is being thrown around. Again, the final decision will not be made until the DNC in August, which is going to be in Chicago. So we know Hillary Clinton won the popular vote in the last election in 2016, but did not have enough votes to win the Electoral College vote. So there are some Democrats that would like to see Hillary Clinton give it another shot. You got Gavin Newsom. He is the Democratic governor of California. His name is being tossed around. We've been seeing polling data come out about some of these candidates. We did not see Hillary Clinton's name in the data, but I'm going to pull another name that you did see in the data here in a moment. Michelle Obama's name was in the polling data. We know that Michelle Obama is the former first lady and spouse to President Obama. So there is a consensus that if Michelle Obama gets nominated, you're going to get 4 more years, potentially, of Barack Obama. So her name, she has tremendous name recognition. You're seeing J. Robert or J.B. Pritzker. He's the governor of Illinois. His name has been floating around. And then last but not least, as of today, Gretchen Whitmer, who's the governor of Michigan. Governor Michigan is another swing state. Now, here's the challenge. Some of these folks have more name recognition than others, but the Democratic Party has a challenge because A, we're already 3/4 through the election cycle. We know that the Biden-Harris ticket went into July with roughly 96, call it 100 million, and she's raised another $50 million as of yesterday. So as of this recording, we know she has at least $150 million-ish dollars. So the rest of them will have to do a substantial raise. So I just want to just place this in context. Let's keep moving forward. So those are the potential challenges. You got Joe Manchin, who was asked by some of the billionaire donor class to jump in the race. Hillary Clinton's name has been floating around. Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, J.B. Pritzker, and Michelle Obama. Those are the names. Now, so we know that we have some serious conflict within the Democratic Party. Now, as of this recording, Kamela still has not received an official endorsement from Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, or Barack Obama, who's still very much a power player in the Democratic Party. Now, you got the billionaire donor class. There's rumors. This is rumor. This is alleged that they do not want VP Harris to be the nominee for the presidential election. So the problem with this is it alienates the voting bloc that supported a Biden-Harris ticket in the primary elections back in the spring. Now, your Black liberal females and other constituents, their voices would not be heard if this actually happens, if VP Harris is not granted the nomination to become the next candidate to be president of the United States in this next election. Now, the con here is that billionaire class may not support VP Harris financially. Now, I would say this process in and of itself is anti-democratic. The people voted, their voices were heard back in the spring. So if VP Harris is not given the opportunity to move forward, it's almost as if the voting blocks, it's almost as if their vote is being usurped by the billionaire donor base. Now, polling numbers show, as of today, that Kamala is best positioned to challenge former President Trump. Again, this is not my personal opinion. This is not conjecture. This is what the data is being shown. If you go and look at channels like MSNBC and look at some of the polling data, you'll see this. Now, of course, it's still too early to determine who will win, but we are seeing that the Democratic Party is in flux. Okay, now the conflict continues. So the voter base back in the spring voted for a Biden-Harris ticket. We read the letter here live where you saw that Biden has said, I'm not pursuing a re-election effort. So the voter base supported a Biden-Harris ticket in the primary. The problem is that the billionaire donor class may or may not support a Harris ticket. And we don't know yet who her VP will be. We're hearing names like Josh Shapiro float around, but it's probably going to be someone from a swing state to balance out that ticket. A must-win state is probably a governor is probably going to be on her ticket. So from a positive, it's the voting bloc voices will be heard if Vice President Harris moves forward and actually becomes the presidential nominee for the 2024 election. Now, the con is that the billionaire donor class may be upset. So talk about the billionaire donor class. I'm talking about those who give money to the PACs and the super PACs, where you don't really see the campaign contribution limits. Campaign contributions are relatively low when you start talking about federal elections, but you can almost give an infinite amount of money when you put money in PACs and these super PACs, which are ways in which political candidates can raise outrageous amounts of money. So with all that aside, my final words to you, government contracting community, is it does not matter what is said between now and the Democratic National Convention known as the DNC, which is going to be held August 19th to 22nd in Chicago. After the August 22nd DNC, we will know who the nominee is. So everything now, between now and then, is in flux, and it's just white noise. Until the DNC, we know they have an open convention, that's when we'll know who the official candidate is. I want you to go back and watch some of my previous videos, and I want you to stay tuned for the next video. And if you found this video helpful in understanding the political process, definitely leave me a comment, give me a like. I'll produce more content like this because this is directly related to what we do in the government contracting space. Directly related. And who the next presidential nominee and winner will determine how future federal dollars will be spent and how they will be allocated, which is going to determine where the government contracting opportunities are. Either way, we're going to see a sea change. It may be slight or it may be very drastic, but following this is going to be super key so we can understand where the budget is going to flow. Once that person takes office, we're going to see where the budget's going to flow. We're going to see some considerable changes starting FY26, which is going to start as soon as October of next year. So that's all I got for this video. I want you to stay tuned. Go back and watch some of my other videos, and I'll see you in a future video. Till next time.